Hi everyone, welcome back to another edition of the Athletes Hub. Back again with some more football chatter. Today's all about Arsenal. It's all about Arsenal today. Joining me as always to discuss the latest ongoings in football is Mr. Flexx.
Yes, how we doing, Rich?
Yeah, all good, Flexx. All good. How about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. It's about time we talk about, these bottle jobs. You know what I mean?
Bottle
It's
job.
about
I know what
time.
you're saying that. Guys, as well, it's not just us two today. We've actually got a special guest. My good friend Guled has joined us, an Arsenal fan.
Hi everyone. Hi, Guled. I'm the Arsenal rep, and we're not bottle jobs.
Not bottle jobs.
That
was quite an intense beginning to the conversation, I got to say there. But yeah, look, bottle jobs. I know, like, obviously, me and Guled, we've had a lot of conversations away from the podcast, and me and Flexx, we've discussed Arsenal on our weekly roundups the last few months, and it feels like, Guled, that this season there's a feeling at Arsenal that you're getting the tools are together now. You've got the squad, the manager's obviously doing a lot better than he's done in previous seasons. It feels like Arsenal are getting closer to winning that title. I mean, the last one was in 2004. And obviously, before the international break, 2 wins, one against Newcastle, one against West Ham. We look at Arsenal now sitting 1 point above Liverpool on the table. Is this Arsenal's year? Do you feel like this is the year Arsenal are finally going to win that Premier League?
I think it's Arsenal's year, and also it has to be Arteta's year as well to win the Premier League, because he's been here for what now, like 6-7 years now, I believe. I know obviously we have like a lot to thank him for, like in terms of taking us from 8th to like title contenders. Because I remember those like really dark days, in the Europa League, losing to Chelsea in the Europa League, and in our Emery's team. So obviously those were really dark days. But the fact that we've been second for 3 years in a row, and I know that's a bit of like a joke, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. But the fact that level of consistency of finishing second every year, because you also have to remember that other teams can fall off as well. Like Liverpool, when they had their injury a few seasons ago, they had an injury. They finished barely in the top 4. I think just by a few points they finished in the top 4. And obviously last year as well, we had like a mini injury crisis, so we couldn't really compete with Liverpool in terms of. And obviously they had Mo Salah, who was in incredible form. So that sort of like momentum. Yeah, we could not get anywhere near it, because every time they would drop points, we would also drop points as well. So there was never sort of like catching up with them. So I feel like obviously now we have Gyökeres, we have Eze, we have Zubimendi. So I think all the pieces are there. So it has to be, and also a tough run at the beginning with playing against Newcastle away, United away, Man City at home, Liverpool away. The fact that we've come out from that with being top, and the fact that we've got such easy games now for the next couple of weeks, it's I mean, it'll be like good to have some breathing room from Liverpool.
Yeah, I know Flexx mentioned bottle jobs at the beginning there. Does that bother you when he says that? Because I mean, you didn't win. I mean, you've fallen short for the last like couple of years. You've not.
I mean, it just comes. I think it's just part of the banter, isn't it? Like you have to be able to dish it and like take it in it. So it's not anything. I don't like, it doesn't affect me, because I know that obviously finishing second like consistently for like 3 years. I know it's a bit of a joke, but that shows you the level of consistency and not dropping off. And obviously now we've got actually like some good, literally got some Arsenal in our team. With like some really big players now. We've got Declan Rice, we've got David Raya, probably one of the best keepers in the Premier League. So we've got obviously Martin Odegaard as well, who can split a pass. Obviously Saka, star boy, he scored against Wales during I think the other day. So obviously we've got good backups now, Nodi Madueke. So obviously I know we spent a lot of money, but you could say the same thing as well for United and Chelsea. Are Chelsea anywhere closer to winning the Premier League this season? I mean, they are the champions of the world, but I know it's not Chelsea.
Flexx can respond to that.
Acknowledge the champions of the world, and acknowledge the only stadium you can go to see every single European Cup. You can't even do that in Madrid, So this is where my problem is with Arsenal, right? It's more so the fact that it's great you've been consistently having open bus rides for finishing second place, but you haven't actually won nothing besides the FA Cup, which some would say Unai Emery helped you guys win too, you know. And so when we compare, let's say even United with Arsenal, right? And as bad as United have been, they've picked up a trophy, and for me, I think Arsenal do not have the mentality to finish. I think it's good and well that they can be top for a long period of time. They can, hold a position, etc. But we all know when it comes to crunch time, when it really does matter, that's where we see the true Arsenal. That's when that DNA of the bottles starts to come out, because you don't have winners. At the end of the day, being able to close out a show is based on mentality, in my opinion. You just don't have those. Maybe now with Eze, because he's won something. He's probably the only one.
He's won the FA Cup. He's won the FA Cup.
That's right.
Declan Rice, before he joined, he won.
Rice, he's won something. So maybe now that mentality is going to shift a bit, because you have winners. You have people in the squad who can say, look, we're going to see out the game in this fashion. I don't care what the manager says. We're the ones on the pitch. We have to just sharp.
I mean, Flexx, you said that though. But I mean, when Arteta was sort of building a team properly at the beginning, he brought in the likes of Jesus, Zinchenko, who he worked with at Man City, and they won the Premier League a few times as well. So he's had those characters. Even David Luiz, at one point, he won the league with Chelsea. He's had those characters as players in the team who have actually won big trophies. You mentioned Eze there. You mentioned Declan Rice, but you mentioned as well that Arsenal won the FA Cup. And Eze won the FA Cup. Declan Rice won the was it the UEFA Conference League?
Yeah.
So these trophies, despite it being a European trophy, they're not the major ones that maybe United, Arsenal, and Chelsea want to win. They want them in the Premier League. They want them in the Champions League, which Chelsea have obviously won in the last 10 years. So as much as they're bringing those talented players into the football club, they're not necessarily coming in with with major honours. Jesus and Zinchenko had that, but they didn't really make much of a difference because Jesus was always injured and Zinchenko didn't really play much either. So you want to bring players in who have won the Premier League, who have won the Champions League, so they can really instill that mentality you mentioned to the rest of the team. But I mean, when you look at sort of Guled, the signings that you've made this season, as you mentioned Madueke as well at Chelsea. He wasn't necessarily the first choice, but he was really good before he picked up his injury. How do you rate his start to the season?
Honestly, because he was getting a lot of backlash even before we signed him, when there was like rumors on Fabrizio, and there was like a lot of backlash. But the fact that he's kind of come back, he didn't have a long pre-season with Arsenal, and he just kind of like stepped up. The problem with he's very good. He's very electric. Madueke is very quick, very direct. But the things I can kind of see that Chelsea fans noticed for a couple of seasons with him is the final product. That little bit of getting a goal or getting an assist that's not there yet. But hopefully with like Arteta, because he's worked with like Sterling at Man City and kind of elevated his game. So hopefully he can do the same thing with Donny Madueke, kind of maybe unlock a player that's that feels like the potential was there, but just hopefully he can kind of give him that extra bit of edge.
Flexx, do you regret Madueke going to Arsenal, potentially winning the Premier League if they do win it this season? Would you? Because we spoke about it in the summer, he was like, he's not necessarily a key player at Chelsea. We're not going to miss him. But if he goes to Arsenal in his first season and wins the Premier League, and obviously he's had a really good start to the season so far, would you say that maybe Chelsea made a mistake letting him go?
Nah, not at all. Our model is not based on like these type of things. Do you get what I mean? Like we have like 1 million wingers at the club, and if you have a set period of time to show yourself, he might show himself at Arsenal, and fair enough, that's our loss. Or is it really? Maybe Chelsea's not the environment for him to have shown himself, So, nah, I mean, our model is very, very different, So for me, not bothered. If he goes there and he wins the Premier League, good on him, good on Arsenal. Yeah, means nothing to me.
Good. Arsenal have been tagged with a label, set piece team. Very efficient at set pieces, very strong at that. Do you think that's fair? Because Arsenal can play good football. We've seen in spells this season where they've had, especially at Newcastle in the first half, where they're playing really good football, quick, through the lines, getting the ball up front. But they're also, again, very strong when it comes to corners and set pieces. Do you think that's a fair tag for Arsenal to have?
I think we do. I mean, statistically, we do score a lot of goals from set pieces, so there is some truth to it. But it is part of the game, though. It is like a throw-in is part of the game. Free kick is part of the game. It's it's just one of the components of the game. So it's to complain that Arsenal utilize it as their main sort of threat. There's as long as it gets you 3 points, I don't think most fans would care how they play. To be honest, like look at, for example, Mourinho's team. I mean, for Chelsea, they only conceded 15 goals for the whole season, and obviously they're probably were scoring lots of goals as well. But he's very pragmatic. Mourinho's a very pragmatic manager. He won them the Premier League. They don't really care about the football that they played, or even like Conte or stuff like that. They don't really look at like Conte like, oh yeah, he's played this sort of football. As long as it just gets you results, no one cares. But the tactical issue with Arsenal is that I think most teams sit back against Arsenal, and we don't have enough space to kind of create like really one-to-one chances with the opposition. Most teams that come to the Emirates, it's going to be like 4-4-2, low block, and it's going to be very difficult. So I think the idea of like utilizing a set piece so you can kind of get you that one goal, so the team has to come out now, and that lets you play football. Once you've got a goal up, then you can kind of open up. We've even seen it with Man City, Pep Guardiola coming to Arsenal and setting up a low block, because he realized what happened last season when if you actually come to the Emirates and try to play football, it's not going to be very, very easy thing to do. So like managers abandon the philosophy just to play against Arsenal. So Arsenal can switch it up. Arsenal are good at playing football, and they can also play like the set piece, like very Stoke City sort of football. So I mean, that's good there to have versatility, right? You just can't do 100% agree. Yeah.
That's true. I mean, Flexx, obviously, you mentioned Mourinho there at Chelsea. He's right. I think in football nowadays, particularly modern football, there's an emphasis to play attractive football. And I think the result is a bonus, right? Because we spoke about in our weekly roundup about coaches having philosophies, and if they're attractive philosophies, maybe not winning philosophies, but if they're attractive philosophies, they're more likely to get top jobs because of the way they play football. But it seems like we're kind of moving away from the result, which is to win games and to be successful, as opposed to having the philosophy of playing great attacking football, right? Of course, we want to see that, but all these top coaches we've mentioned have all won. They've all gotten there. So what's your sort of thoughts on, because I know we've spoken about Arteta before, but what's your thoughts on Arteta? Because it seems like, as Guled said in the intro, it's either now or never for Arteta, because he's got the tools, he's got the squad now, so there's really no excuse for him to not at least deliver a trophy this season.
Yeah, I mean, is it really now or never? I don't think so. He's done very well to bring Arsenal to where they are, so I mean, if you get rid of him, who are you going to bring in? So is it really now or never? Nah, definitely not.
I don't think you said that though, but I look around football nowadays. How many Arsenal are a massive club? Like they're a massive club. How many big clubs in Europe, right? And Guled mentioned they spend a lot of money. How many big clubs in Europe would go 5-6 seasons, spending a lot of money building a team, but not winning a significant trophy? How many big clubs around the world would allow that to happen?
Well, you got to consider, right? In other leagues, there's only 2 teams in the league, really. And in some cases, only really 1, if we're looking at the Bundesliga, right? The Premier League is the most competitive league. So for me, I look at it as that you have to have more grace with the managers in the Premier League, because in the La Liga, well, if Madrid don't win it, Barca win it. There might be the edge case where Atletico come in once every, 5 to 10 years. So you can't really look at the rest of the pack in terms of leagues and compare what's going on there with what's going on in the Premier League. So for me, I just feel like Arsenal need a bit of luck. That might be this season, whereas Liverpool are going through their rebuild. Man City have not really caught form yet. If Arsenal can be consistent and not get any key injuries take place, and if it does happen, what is their transfer strategy for January to keep them going, then they might see it through, So for me, getting rid of Arteta would be, I think, probably the worst thing to do, because he's done so well to, bring the club to a place where it's respected again, where they're consistently challenging, even if not winning, they are running teams to the wire, so it does take a bit of luck, and they say there's no luck in the 38 game season, but the luck comes where, Salah has gone to the African Cup of Nations. That's a big player missing for 4 weeks.
Salah's been missing all season so far, anyway. To be honest, so
yeah. Well, we'll have someone come on to this Liverpool, and we can discuss that one.
Don't say that now, Richard. You play them after the international break, innit?
Yeah, I know. What am I doing? Yeah. But it's true. I mean, what Flexx said is quite true, actually. And we look at Arteta. I agree. I feel Arteta's, a lot of Arsenal fans have been on his back because of they've not won the big trophies. But we look at when he took over Emery's team, Arsenal almost lost really after Arsene Wenger. Emery came and it didn't really work. And when you look at his management, he really had to kind of get rid of a lot of issues at the football club, not just build a team to compete, but he had to get rid of issues. Aubameyang leaving the football club, Lacazette, Guendouzi was there, David Luiz. He had to deal with a lot of things away from football to really get that club back to competing. So I feel like Flexx is right. He deserves a lot of credit for bringing the team up again. And Arsenal fans go to Emirates now with expectations to win because of Arteta, because he built that there for a long time. But I think from your perspective, I know we spoke about this before, but is he a world-class manager? Because there's been talk about him being among the very best managers in Europe right now. But I've always associated the world-class managers as the ones who win consistently, whether it's domestically and also in Europe as well. So would you put Arteta in the same bracket as the world-class coaches?
I think currently, I think so. I think he's in the Premier League. I think he's the best coach in the Premier League right now. Yeah.
I mean, if he's not won the Premier League,
I know. Yeah, but in terms of just the team that he's assembled, the way he can play different scenarios, playing very dirty, or no, not dirty, but playing very direct football.
Gabriel's a dirty player, I've got to say.
I mean, he scored against you, but I guess I can see why. But I generally think Arteta. I think. Well, this is my opinion, obviously, again, but Arteta is definitely a world-class manager. If he leaves Arsenal today, I think he probably goes to Man City. Bayern Munich want him. Barcelona want him. Real Madrid probably want him. I mean, what do you think? That's missing for Arteta is the trophies. The only thing that's missing from Arteta, the trophies. But once he gets that over the line, I mean, it's difficult to say that he's not the best, probably one of the best in the world, actually.
Flexx, what do you think? Because I think it's interesting, because I look at managers now, and I would probably put modern managers. I'd probably put in the world-class bracket: Pep, Luis Enrique, Ancelotti in that bracket as well. Managers who've done it and who have won domestic leagues and also more than one European Cup. So it's an interesting comment that he said that Arteta will be a world-class manager if he was to leave Arsenal. What do you think?
Nah, definitely not, because to get that title, you need to have accomplished quite a few things, right? And so far, he hasn't been able to do that just yet, and that's just only because he's still quite young, in the game. When you compare him with the likes of definitely Ancelotti, Arteta's his son, that's if you're in comparing careers, even Pep Guardiola, that's like a very much of a big brother in that sense. You're not there yet, so he's got a little way to go. He's got a few more trophies to attribute to himself before we can say that he is that guy.
I mean, Guled, would you say that you grew up with a legendary manager, Arsene Wenger? Would you, if Arteta was to win the Premier League, how would you see that comparison? Would you say that Arsene Wenger, obviously he won 3 Premier League titles, but
the thing with Arsene Wenger is 2 parts to Arsene Wenger. It's very like Jekyll and Hyde with Arsene Wenger. You got the really good years at the early 90s, late 2000s. Obviously, by then I was probably like 11 or 12 or something like that. So I wasn't really that into football. But the fact that obviously when I was kind of really into Arsenal, it was like really it was like just top 4 really, because Arsenal were moving to the Emirates. So for me, it's kind of Arsene Wenger, there's two parts of him. The good parts, I maybe experienced a little bit of it, but majority of it was kind of, the not so great, just top four and stuff. But that's the thing. That's my opinion from my age group, like my age group that grew up with Arsenal. I guess the older fans will consider Arsene Wenger a world-class manager. But I think obviously Arsene Wenger, if overall, I would say he's a world-class manager, because obviously what he's done to the game, he's revolutionized their nutrition, tactics, brought foreign players. He was probably one of the first successful foreign managers to win the Premier League. So he's kind of the he's at the forefront of football. But for me, a little bit of a sour taste his last couple of years at the Emirates.
Good point, actually. Good point. I mean, so look, we're still early in the season. We're in October as we're recording this now. If Arsenal were to maybe end the season with no... Listen, what do you think Arsenal can achieve this season? Because people are saying that they have to win a domestic cup, whether it's the FA Cup, the League Cup, but they really want either the Champions League, which they came close to last season and going to semi-final, or to win the Premier League. So what do you think realistically, as an Arsenal fan, what would you be happy for them to achieve, and what do you think they can achieve?
Okay, so what I think Arsenal can achieve this year is to win the Premier League, and I think they'll be in the finalists of the Champions League. I think that will happen. Those two things will happen, and I'll be happy with. And what we'll be happy with is probably just win the Premier League. I think that'll be cool. Or the Champions League, one of those two like major trophies. I mean, the Champions League would be absolutely amazing, because that would probably be the most special thing at the club, because obviously lots of rival fans beat Arsenal across the head with not having European.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, no, rightfully so. Yeah, obviously we've been like 100 and something years and we haven't won it. So our pedigree in Europe isn't great. But the fact that
what do you think? Because do you think Arteta would, from a fan's perspective, you would probably say the Champions League, because you've not seen them win it before. But for Arteta, do you feel like he would, if he had to choose one trophy, do you think that he would actually prefer the league, because that's the one he's going to deliver to the fans for such a long time? It's the one that they compete in every single season. So do you think that if it was down to Arteta, do you think he would probably favour the league over the Champions League?
I think they're both special, and they're both really special trophies. But if I had to pick, I guess the Premier League, because the Premier League, you're just the best. There's no excuses. There's no luck. There's over 38 game period. You can't really say anything. You can't say, oh yeah, they got lucky or the refs helped them or anything like that. It's just pure consistency. As opposed to the Champions League, you might get an easy finalist. Like the first time in the final, like for example, Liverpool versus Tottenham. Like you might get that, or you might get an easy run. Or
say if Tottenham won that final, what would life be like now? Though, say they won that 2019.
I mean, they won the Europa.
You're not talking about that one. We're talking about the Champions League in 2019. If they'd won that,
that was just a taster, isn't it? If they won the Champions League, it would be like 100 times that in it. Like that would be. I guess every Arsenal fan would just go in hiding, really. Like, Not much you can. Not much you can do, really, because that's what everyone wants, isn't it? I mean, the only team that's won it so far in London is Chelsea. That's it. So so
Flexx, I mean, would you consider Arsenal? Listen, Chelsea won everything. They've been probably the most successful club, in the last, probably in the modern era, really. Would you consider Arsenal as like the major rivals for Chelsea, particularly in London? Because you've got Tottenham there, you've got other clubs as well. So
in London, we have no rivals. Our ops are outside of London, you know what I mean? We don't have them.
You got Fulham, watch out for them.
Crystal Palace, maybe, you know what I mean? They win trophies.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, Flexx, say if Arteta, if he doesn't win a trophy, like if he doesn't win anything, I know that probably won't happen. I think Arsenal win something this season, but if he doesn't win anything again this season, what happens to his tenure? Does he go? What happens?
You keep going. You're on track. You're on track. You know what I mean? You're 90%, 95% of the way there. You know what I mean? You just keep going. Like, again, we say it's not luck in the 38 game season. It's definitely not. But there's bits of luck that happen over a course of 38 games, right? Injuries, suspensions, VAR going in your favor, maybe these type of things. So sometimes there's little elements that just all fall for you throughout the whole season. Like Liverpool last year, right? You know, a manager comes in first season and goes and does what he does. And then this season, you know, there's a lot of people saying, he's been found out. So what happened last season then? Do you get what I mean? So there is certain things I feel like have to go your way. And, you know, you never know. This could be it because the squad is ready. If we're talking about boys off the bench, starting 11, these type of things, you know, the squad is ready. So we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. A good point. Well, listen, guys, it's been a great conversation. But to finish off, I've actually been, I don't know, this week I've been sent loads of different links about Arsenal being the only team to be unbeaten in the Premier League, which is a great achievement. And it made me think of both your teams, actually, because as you mentioned, Guled, when Mourinho first came into Chelsea, he had that phenomenal record where he only lost 15 games. Was it 15 goals he conceded, right? Conceded 15 goals 15. That season. And got 90 points that year as well. Yeah. And he had this record, Jose, particularly where he went unbeaten for 3 seasons at home, which I thought was a great record. And then obviously you've got the great Invincible team. And I've been reminded of that loads of times. But I've got to say to Arsenal fans, though, I have to remind them who broke that unbeaten run in 2004. Ruud van Nistelrooy, you know, I've got to put it in there, break that unbeaten run, and obviously getting his retribution after that. Yeah. That disgraceful attack a few months prior to that, to be honest. I know, but listen, both teams are great. Arsenal 2003-04 and obviously Chelsea 04-05. Which team was better? I mean, Arsenal went unbeaten, but what team out of those two, again, back-to-back seasons, by the way, what team was better?
Oh, I mean, in terms, obviously, you have to say Arsenal because we've Thierry Henry. I mean, you know,
is he the team or is he part of the team? I don't know.
No, he's part of the team, but in terms of
so you can't say Thierry Henry. He's part of the team.
He's part of the team, but like because he's just like he's so electric. Everything that he does, like everything, he's like obviously the main man. He was the main man of that team. So when I think of Chelsea,
Henry won the Invincibles. Is what you're saying?
Like just like his like ability to like kind of galvanize everyone and just kind of raise everyone's level. Obviously, you have like Patrick Vieira and and Tony Adams and Lehman and Kolo Touré and all these guys. But obviously, he is like the gem of like the team. When I think of the Chelsea, like going only conceding 15 goals, I think of like John Terry. I think of Carvalho, Petr Cech. Like it's a good achievement, but it's obviously for me football in terms of it's more about the attacking players. I'm more interested about the attacking players and to just kind of like be electric and stuff like that. So obviously maybe
you could only mention one player that was supposedly electric, which is a shame, because
you got Perez as well. Obviously Perez is very elegant, very like very technical. Obviously Lundberg as well. Yeah. So for me, I would say the Arsenal's Invincibles. No one has. Only Preston have done it. Only 2 teams have done it in football history. And maybe Arsenal could do the Chelsea. Only conceding 15 goals or do like 14 goals this year. I mean, our defense is more than good enough to do it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I don't like to compare the two anyway because for me, it's not the same. So. For me, there is no comparison between the two. Both, I would say, in their own right, really good achievements. So for me, there's nothing really to compare there. There's just 2 very different styles. One which is in the Rubik's Cube that's hard to figure out. Especially at home, and then the others is at the time free flowing football, which can also be appreciated. So for me, I would look at it and say, Guled could only really mention one player, whereas for us, we can say it was the team, and we had a team of players that made sure it was, a very solid, outgoing each time. Whereas, we could say, if we didn't have 1 or 2 players, would the results may have been the same? Possible. But based on what you said, if there was no Henry, then,
I think one thing I'll say is that I think both I would not want to play against either team. I think both teams are incredibly hard to break down, were a nightmare to play against. Had a mixture of everything. They had quality, they had a physical aspect as well. They had players like Pires and obviously Lampard, Robben, Duff in that team as well. Drogba, who are also very technically very good as well. So I think they had a great mix, both teams, and I wouldn't want to play against any of them either. But I think to finish off here today, guys, though, listen, fans always compare the two midfielders. Caicedo at Chelsea and Declan Rice at Arsenal. For you two, who is the better midfielder? I love Declan Rice. I think he probably reminds me of the old school midfielder who does everything, box to box, scores goals, can defend. But for you two, out of Caicedo and Declan Rice, who, if you could pick one, who would you go for?
I mean, I think for the clubs they play for, they're both where they need to be. So I don't think it's a matter of who would you pick, because you buy players based on your system and philosophy, etc. Right? So for me, I think they're just both where they need to be to flourish and be as good as what we're seeing. Maybe if one goes to, let's say Rice goes to Chelsea, is he the same player? If Caicedo goes to Arsenal, is he the same player? We don't know. You see what I mean? So for me, it sounds like a politician's answer, but I would say they are. I think they're both really, really good players, So yeah, they're not the same. Rice is a box-to-box midfielder. Caicedo is an anchor man, for the team. He
does get forward quite a lot though for an anchor man. He does advance quite a lot.
Yeah, no, he has the license to go forward, but his primary role is to be the destroyer and get the ball, recycle the ball, and give it to those that are considered box-to-box players. So that's just what it is. But then I've also heard other people, badmouth Declan Rice to say, oh, well, he's not everything you guys say he is, which for me is a bit, it's not fair. It's not right, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Declan Rice is, Declan Rice just edges it slightly. He's not, I'm not going to say obviously he's 10 times better than Caicedo. Caicedo, obviously the whole midfield, he can dominate by himself. I think the key difference of Declan Rice and Caicedo is obviously
he can take free kicks. He can take free kicks. Declan Rice.
He can score free kicks, but also as well, he's his goals as well. Like he can actually get goals now. That's the thing. That's the thing. But Caicedo actually, he's more of his tackling is better than like reading of the game, like tackling and stuff like that. And also as well, I feel like Caicedo also is very good at a bit technically a little bit cleaner than Declan Rice. Declan Rice can sometimes have a bit too many touches, maybe slow down the game a little bit. But obviously they're both like amazing box-to-box midfielders. But for me, probably I'd say Declan Rice just edges it just a bit, just because of the goals.
But Bruno Fernandes is better than both, right, Richard?
100%. Why do you even ask me that question? You should know this already. The stats say it's better. That's what I meant. It's the stats. Because in modern football now, stats mean everything. So the stats are just so that means it's true. But no, listen, guys, it's been a great conversation, though, man. It's been great to talk to you guys today. Listen, still a long way to go in the Premier League, but I think Arsenal fans can be quite optimistic because they've got a great squad. Obviously, the manager looks like he's got them in good nick as well. So, it'll be interesting to see how they get on for the rest of the season. And again, we can always touch base again, guys, later on in the season to see how they're getting on. But yeah, good. Thanks for joining us today, though. I mean, it's been great.
Thank you for having me.
To have you on. Flexx, as always, it's been a pleasure to discuss.
Yes,
and guys, listen, subscribe, like our content on Instagram, we're on TikTok now as well. And don't forget, guys, to subscribe on YouTube. We're at 90 now, currently 90 subscribers. Help us get to 100 subscribers. We appreciate all your support. Flexx, I'll see you next week. And Guled, it's been great to chat to you today.
Thank you. All right.
Take care, guys.
See you.